and also to me personally as the rabbi. I knew Len Goldman very, very well for many, many years. We spent time together. We traveled to Israel together. He and Marilyn were regular attenders in this sanctuary, mostly to celebrate happy times, to celebrate simchas here in the sanctuary, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, anniversaries. And so today it's appropriate that he lay here in this sanctuary, the place that he loved and the place that loved him, to pay honor to a very remarkable man. We hope that the words that we speak and the music that you'll hear will enter into your spirits, and especially for the Goldman family, to provide each and every one of you a sense of comfort and a sense of wholeness. We begin with these words. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of his friend. He referred to the dates on his tombstone from beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of his birth and spoke of the second with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that he spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved him know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters most is how we live and how we love when we're living out our dash. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, as Len did, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger, and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like Len loved them before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remember that this little dash might only last a while. So when your service is being read with your life's actions to rehash, will you be pleased to know and what people say about how you spent that dash?
Adonai natan, v'Adonai lakach. Adonai natan, v'lakach. Adonai natan, v'Adonai lakach. Adonai is the judge of truth. Praised is the judge of truth. Praised is the judge of truth. Adonai has given, and Adonai has taken. Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. Praised be the name of Adonai. Praised be the name of Adonai. Baruch Dayan HaEmet.
Len had an affinity for doing many different things in his life. He and Marilyn loved to travel, sometimes on ships, on boats. He loved to fish, sometimes with his grandkids. And so I'd like to share this with you, related to his life. 2 ships were once seen near the land. One of them was leaving the harbor and the other was coming back into it. Everyone was cheering the outgoing ship, but the incoming ship was scarcely noticed. A wise man standing by explained the people's reaction. Do not rejoice over the ship that is setting out to sea, because we do not know what storms it might encounter, what dangers lurk before it. Rejoice instead over the ship that has reached port safely and brought back all its passengers in peace. So Jewish tradition says it is the way of the world, that when a human being is born, everyone celebrates, but when he or she dies, everyone is weeping. And the tradition asks, but shouldn't it sometimes be the other way around? No one can tell what trouble awaits the developing child on its journey through life. But when a person has lived a great life, a life well lived, as Leonard Goldman did, left a positive mark on the world, created a wonderful family and great friends, and that person dies, all should rejoice that he has completed his life's journey successfully, and he is departing the world with an imperishable and eternal crown of a good name. We're here today to declare that Len Goldman was a man who created a good name for himself. And tradition also gives us choices on this day. Although tears fall from our eyes, when we think of Len, there's also a smile on our face. We can shed tears that he is gone, or we can smile because Len lived. We can close our eyes and pray that he'll come back, or we can open our eyes and see all that he left. Our hearts can be empty because we can't see him, or it could be full of all the love that we shared with him. We can turn our backs on tomorrow and live yesterday, or we can be happy tomorrow because of yesterday. We can remember him and only that he's gone, or we can cherish his memory and his personality and let it live on. We can close our mind, be empty, and turn our backs, or we can do what Len would want us to do. Smile, open our eyes, love fully, and go on.
Holy One, give me a quiet heart. 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 Elohai Netzor, Leshoni Mera, Usfatai Medaber Mirma. Elohai Netzor, Leshoni Mera, Usfatai Medaber Mirma. Holy One, give me a quiet heart. Holy One, give me a quiet heart. Yiyu leratzon, imreifi, vehegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, tzuri v'goli. Adonai tzuri v'goli. Holy One, give me a quiet heart. Holy One, give me a quiet heart. Holy
is my shepherd, I shall not want. God maketh me lie down in green pastures. God restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for God's name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. You have prepared a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. Chaim Nachman Bialik writes, there was a man, and see, he is no more. Before his time, his life was ended, and the song of his life was broken. Oh, this man, he had one more melody, and now that melody is lost forever, lost forever. Len was a person that was always satisfied wherever he was, never really complained. He kept going and pushing on. And although he was struggling with some health issues, he was in a good place in his life, in his family life. And before his time, we could say in some sense his life was ended, because we always want more. That's how Len was. We always wanted more Len Goldman in our lives. There's a deep sorrow in this. From where can consolation come from this family? Let our silence reach out to you, Marilyn, to your three boys, David, Jeffrey, and Michael, and let it reach out to these grandchildren as well. Let your tears fall upon us. Let your anger break against us. Let our love and deeds pick you up out of your sadness and grief. In the presence of his boundless grief, this poet wrote, there is no longer a prayer on my lips, yet we must pray, just as we must weep, just as we must smile, because we can do no other. O God, we ask you to now be with the stricken family of Len Goldman. Help them draw near to one another in their need for love and strength. Teach us to place our arms around them and sorrow with them. Be with these mourners in their grief until hope and healing and wholeness breaks through, because we know that we will always remember Len because of the person that he was and the person that he will continue to be. Although not physically, we feel his spirit inside of us. We feel his presence always. We remember him. We remember him.
We remember him forever. Zichrono livracha lanetzach. Memories cherished in our hearts forever. Body gone, spirit lives on, lanetzach. We remember him forever. Zichrono livracha lanetzach. Memories cherished in our hearts forever. Body gone, spirit lives on, lanetzach. We hold his presence inside. Tears of pain we cry. Home is with us all. Always there whenever remember him forever. Zichrono livracha lanetzach. Memories cherished in our hearts forever. Body gone, spirit lives on, lanetzach.
Len was a reader. He was a reader of books, and he was a reader of people. We're taught that we cannot judge a biography by its length, nor by the number of pages in it. We must judge it by the richness of its contents. Sometimes those unfinished things are the most poignant. We judge it by the way it touches and lifts us, a book, by the way it inspires us, by the way it speaks to us. Sometimes those unfinished things are among the most beautiful. As Len had years perhaps left in his life, we realize that his unfinished things are beautiful. Because when something or someone has enriched your life, and when its pages continue in your heart, is it really unfinished, or is it rather endless? Death cannot deprive us of happy memories of Len, or his enduring friendship, or the eternal qualities of his beloved character, because he was a character. Ironically, death enhances our memory of him and makes it all more vivid. Everything that was meaningful and lasting is personality. Death does not erase his life and the love that ennobled it. True, we shall not see Len again physically, nor hear his familiar Philadelphia accent voice. That is, we shall not see with our eyes nor hear as we heard before, but with our hearts we shall continue to see Len Goldman. And in the Holy of Holies of our minds, we shall hear again comforting words that even death cannot silence. As Len has done so often in life, so now even in death, his memory will return to us again and again and again to heal the hurt of separation, to relieve the pain that death has wrought. He was a holy man, a righteous man. Holy means set apart and separate, something that we will never forget. Len Goldman was a righteous and holy man.
Holy, 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 Adonai of blessing above. Fill my heart with love, soft and strong a voice within, a song of peace in the wind. Holy, 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 make the darkness within disappear with the faith that you're always near, like the mountain born from the sea, the spark of God within me. Holy, 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 holy.
I always like to share at a funeral words that the deceased would say to us. What would Len say to us, not about his death, but about life, about his personality, about his values, about his view of life? In the case of Len Goldman, it's a hard choice because Len said a lot. And it's hard to choose from all the Lenisms, as I call them, to choose which ones that I want to share with you. But I think these three are reflective. And I say this because Marilyn and I talked about it a little bit. When someone dies, we still hear them in our head. It's not a strange thing, it's a beautiful thing that we have such a relationship with a person that they continue to speak to us. And as Marilyn and I spoke about, she could hear Len even when he was alive and not in the room. She could hear Len's voice speaking or telling a joke or something witty. And so I would like to share three things that I think should inspire us, that perhaps Len would say to us about life and about living. For me to have made one soul the better for my birth, to have added but one flower to the garden of the earth, to have struck one blow for truth, to have made one person smile or laugh, to fight in the daily fight with lies, to have done one deed of right in the face of calamity, to have done a good job, to have sown in the souls of people one thought that will not die, to have been a link in the chain of life. This shall be my immortality. And these words, a man of honesty and integrity. May God bless you with discomfort and easy answers, half-truths, superficial relationships, so that you will live deep within your heart. May God bless you with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that you will work to make the world a better place. May God bless you with tears to shed for those who suffer. May God grant you a heart filled with love, so that you may express your feelings truly to others. And may God bless you with the foolishness to think that you can do and make a difference in the world, to do things that people say you can't do, so that you will do the things that others tell you that can't be done. And finally, I shall pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, I can do, or any kindness that I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. I'd like to invite the three boys, Jeffrey, Michael, and David, to come up and share words, which is a beautiful way to pay tribute to your dad, as the three of you share words with us.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for being here, as well as out there, to pay tribute and honor my father and what he's meant to everyone here. I think if he were here, he'd tell you he only wants you to remember the good stuff and the happy times, as painful as this can be. So what can I say about my pop, my father? For me, he set the bar high and left big shoes to fill before I realized how hard it is to be a great dad. Some of you know I wasn't exactly the perfect son, but it didn't matter because he was there for me and loved me unconditionally. As I stepped through his journey, I'll try to share with you the early part of his life and what made him so special. Dad was a very complex soul who always viewed the world in a more black and white fashion with a strong moral compass. Excuse me. He was extremely intelligent at an early age. Some of you don't know, he actually skipped a grade when he got in trouble and was not allowed to attend the field trip school. The 5th grade teacher gave him busy work thinking he'd be working on it all day. Wrong. He was not only finished, but then tested out of his 4th grade class because the work he was doing was too easy. Growing up in a family that maybe did not have all the frills and privileges that our kids do today, he was able to put himself through Temple University and law school after he graduated high school. Basketball was not only his passion, but he played all through high school and talked about playing against Overlook High School, where Wilt Chamberlain played as well. His nickname, Bones, was very appropriate considering his tall, lanky body, sinewy frame, and long reach. He always said he would have liked to attend University of Penn, but this was the safe and financially affordable option that fit more into the economical challenges that he would have faced if he attended another school. Not only did he join TEP fraternity while studying pre-law, but he worked in Atlantic City as a waiter while sleeping on a mattress in a bathroom one summer just to make extra money for attending school. His goal was to graduate, so nothing was going to stand in his way. One of my favorite stories is really when Dad met Mom at summer camp. Mom had another boyfriend, but Pop had seen his future bride, and after the first time, he wasn't going to let her get away. He was actually quite a romantic deep down and enjoyed writing poetries, which he ended up doing for Mom at almost every occasion. Mom used to go to the lake to swim, and Dad used to go down there to get a chance to talk to her or just watch her from afar. So one day when she went to the lake, he had to take care of the horses. He had an idea that he could take the horses down the lake to give them a bath. Well, unfortunately, as he got the horse in the water to wash, he didn't quite think it through because the horse didn't want to get out of the water. Now everyone saw this young man struggling to get the horse out of the water. Trust me, he made an impression on Mom. Once they were married and I was born, one of my earliest memories is moving day. After living in Elkins Park when I was 4, Mike was 2, and David was just born, Dad decided to make a transition in his law career, and instead of working for a judge, he took a job with Ameriprise in Allentown. This would be the beginning of a long and illustrious career in government contracts. Dad and I got to share a lot of memories because we were both in the same sector, and a lot of times our companies weren't too far down in Northern Virginia. So he couldn't be more proud. Every time I came and saw him and meet me for lunch, introduced me to all of his coworkers, who all said the same thing: your dad is so funny. And we go and we enjoy the lunch times, and there was nothing better. This would be the beginning, excuse me. So on moving day, as it poured rain on the entire drive from Philly to Allentown, with my brothers and my mom in the car, as we proceeded to a new neighborhood, which caused a moving truck to be delayed for hours. Of course, I remember it was a very long trip for him and the family. But in Allentown, we had block parties, made lots of friends, played baseball, soccer, basketball, and spent our summers swimming on the swim team. Dad was always involved in everything, from coaching to attending to cheering pretty loudly or consoling us if we had a bad game. He made sure we had lots of fun, from weekend barbecues to going to the fairgrounds to see concerts like the Osmonds, and his love for the arts. That was something he passed along in the Goldman gene pool. As you can see in our family, music is a major part of all of our lives. From playing the piano to playing the clarinet in the marching band or jazz band, to all the grandkids who not just played multiple instruments but danced too. I like to say that he picked the best places to live because some of our favorite songs were named after our towns. From Allentown, of course, by Billy Joel, and Rockville by REM. We also used to ski all the time, and for a while, Dad would join us. If it smelled like snow, we jumped in the car with our skis and headed to Doe Mountain or the Poconos or even Seven Springs, not far from Pittsburgh. One of the funniest stories we have of him skiing is when I was on a chairlift heading to the top of the mountain. I looked down, and Dad's moving slowly in a classic snowplow wedge. The very next second, Dad's a little out of control. I look ahead to see the tree directly in his path. I scream, Dad, 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 watch out for that. Too late. That night, after we got home, he crawled up the stairs to the tub. He had tweaked his back a little bit. He was in a little bit of pain, unfortunately. But as I tried not to show that deep down it was kind of funny, we carried him to bed. He grabbed the heating pad, and the next day, he was as good as new before we knew it, ready to do it all over again for his kids. We made many trips to any historical city we could visit, from Gettysburg to Monticello, well, and of course Disney. We grew up going to Eagles and Phillies games, even though I was loyal to the Steelers and the Reds, while David was loyal to the Cowboys. While helping us collect anything from baseball cards to coins to stamps, he was always encouraging us to explore other interests and hobbies outside of just school and team sports. We always went to Philly to see the Cherries, Aunt Janet and Uncle Arthur, our cousins Alicia, Deb, Grandma and Grandpa, Gert and Joe, and of course, Dad's sister, Aunt Wilma, and many, many of our other cousins to celebrate Hanukkah and get together for the day. He would also take me to spend time during the summers to visit my grandpop and grandmom, Harry and Fanny Singer, in Harrisburg. We went to see the the Washington football team, play in training camp in Carlisle, to have many dinners at the Host Inn. Family was everything to him, and he passed the same traditions down to us, like weekend barbecues, to Passover dinners, and high holiday services that would end when he said we could have a cup of coffee, an Advil, and kugel that would taste like cheesecake. I was in 6th grade when we moved to Rockville. Dad transferred to G and again picked a great neighborhood to grow up in with lots of families and relatives close by. It was only blocks away from my mom's sister's house, Aunt Gloria, Uncle Arnie, and my cousins Adam and Andrea. I could go on and on with many, many, many more stories and memories, but I'm going to let Mike and David continue the legacy. I just want them to know, like we all do, we miss him very, very, very much and love him dearly.
And I thought writing this was going to be hard. I really like Dad's nickname, Bones. I think those of us that knew him knew of his wise bones, his poetic bones, his funny bones, and now in front of us, his lovely bones. Bones will live on through our support and our strength. And thank you all for being here today to share his memories, his love, and his support. I'll do the best to get through this that I can. How do I begin to even talk about all that my father meant to me and all of us? I'm not going to say that writing this was easy, and that the past 10 days here in Florida have been bittersweet, with laughs, cries, and sharing stories with my family. I suppose I'll start with what I know. For as long as I can remember, my father was a man with true integrity, true work ethic, a man of true wit and humor that liked to laugh, read about history, discovered painting, and just continuously learning with his trips all around the world, discovering how to cook with those of us around us and many of his grandkids, his passion for life, and for love for his entire family. His greatest love was my mom, or later in life, I used to like to say Marilyn, then his kids, daughter-in-laws, and his grandchildren. He worked his whole life to make sure everyone was taken care of until the very end. When we first moved here from Philadelphia, Allentown to Maryland, we were all slightly scared and needed confidence to know we could go out there and meet friends and adjust to a new life in a new city. As we look back on our life with Dad, I know that he spent all his life guiding me, guiding us, giving us support through every decision or road that when we moved here to adulthood. And he's helped us all become the family men that we all are today. And he did that for all of us. What I remember most when we first moved to Maryland was him all taking us out to enjoy his amazing breakfasts. Those who knew or loved him knew that breakfast was obviously his favorite meal. He used to go to the potato patch, I think, when he was here, many, many other places that ever opened. Hot shops, tasty diner, all the great delis. He loved his cream chip beef and other items, but really it was his way to take us out, fill our bellies, but impart us with his wisdom. Whatever we were going through in life, it was his way of talking to us and just kind of catching up. And there are times I do that with my own children today because of him. One time for my birthday, he asked me what I wanted to eat, and I said as many Egg McMuffins as I wanted because it was McDonald's. So he grabbed a coupon for unlimited buy one, get one frees and put 4 right in front of me. My 12-year-old stomach only made it through three of them, but like McDonald's, I was loving it. My favorite memories in Maryland include going at the end of every summer to North Ocean City or Fenwick Island. When all of us finished summer swim team, after August 15th, but before school started, because again, that's when we got the best rates. He knew his 3 boys loved the beach with our boogie boards, our rafts, our pier fishing, our putt-putt or miniature golf, the boardwalk rides, and I'm sure I've mentioned food at least 3 times during this already, but all 3 of us could put away a lot. Whether it was pizza, Thrasher's French fries, frozen custard, Nicoboli, subs, just about everything put in front of us. It's probably why he looked for a good deal, because we ate everything in sight. He would give us money to go to Lost Island Treasure Golf. I think that was his way of getting some private time with Mom. Either way, we loved it, because back then, we loved the arcades. Didn't have to worry about selfies, TikTok, social media, distancing, or whatever people thought about you on social media. I'm sure in the Fenwick Island Motel or Inn, there's probably a room that says the Goldman family was here. He also liked to take us to movies. He had a collection of every single Raiders of the Lost Ark trilogy, Star Wars trilogy. Just like today, with our kids, we shared the Harry Potter trilogy or Lord of the Rings. Also, while in Maryland, we celebrated our manhood. Well, as much as a 13-year-old can. And we had some fantastic bar mitzvah celebrations. For those of you that got to see Len or my father dance, it was fantastic and glorious. No one quite swayed and stepped and showed facial expressions with joy like Pop Pop. Dad continued to help us grow up all the way through college. He loved writing speeches and poems for all of our weddings, bar mitzvahs, and all our biggest events, anniversaries, and birthdays. We all know he had a gift for being funny, wise, and not just knowing the right things to say. My dad encapsulated all that means to be a constant source of support in my life. Last night, as I was thinking about what I wanted to write about my dad for today, I was walking around feeling lost, feeling like that little boy who just moved from Allentown to Maryland. How would I find the strength to put into words all that Dad meant to me and all of us? I was in his office looking for a notebook to write my words from last night. Earlier in the week, while spending time with my mom, we were looking for personal information, passwords, all these things. And while I was looking for something, I found a notebook in his office. When I opened it up, not only did it contain his passwords, but as I went through a few pages, there were also notes after a few blank pages, and there were poems from my dad, of poems he had written to my mom about trips, anniversaries, and about some of us, and our grandchildren's life celebrations. I knew in that moment my dad was with me and was guiding me and giving me the courage to write this eulogy. Thank you, Dad. I love you. I miss you. And once again, you've given me the courage I need to get through writing this and what you meant to all of us and to me. I love you.
We get so busy with our lives, kids, work, and all the things that just seem to pop up and get in the way. Most families have their parents or immediate family live out of town or far away, and always saying each year we need to see them more. In 2003, my parents moved to Orlando, and the last 17 years have been a true blessing. The bond that a son can have with his father late in life is too hard to describe. The times at the coffee shops, potato patch, golf cart, dinners, watching sports, and his Eagles winning the Super Bowl. Sharing all the events at CRJ and school activities will be priceless, and we will remember them forever. What I also got to see is a renaissance, or an evolution of my dad. He went from a strict, hard corporate lawyer and a father, very, very strict father, to someone who liked to paint, cook, write poetry, travel, and read ferociously. The kinder humbleness and humility came through, and he let his inner side that was repressed from being raised in the post-Depression tough Philly streets to the kinder, softer, surrounded Mickey Mouse and to land and his friends at Victoria Gardens. The lessons I learned from son to father, and then reverse from caregiver to father, as both a doctor and as a son, trying to keep his dad living to the fullest so he could spend more precious time with his beloved wife. In addition, he also wanted to see more days with his family and his friends too. It is these special memories that will hit me even more than the rest, but they will quickly turn into smiles as I think about these opportunities that many only wish they had more time and or regrets. A few more things to think about my dad was how he was always thinking about how we were doing. He cared about all of us. With his quick wit and focus, he would make everyone feel at ease. He was always worried if we had enough to sleep or if I was working too hard. When I would run 1,000,000 miles for a marathon or work many shifts in a row, he would say that is too much and worry and to make sure I was okay. But finally, in the end, I got to be the son to then care about him and ask if he ate, slept, took his medicine, or when his next treatment was. My dad was a real trooper, and he fought all the way up to the end. I'm also so grateful for all the prayers, blessings, love, and support of our friends and family during this sad time, and we cannot thank you enough, and my dad is smiling back at all of you.
I'd like to invite Alex and Andrew to come and share some words on behalf of all the grandkids.
Before I begin, I just want to say how thankful I am for my father, my hero, for always devoting his care for his dad's needs through all of his illnesses with constant loving support, especially this month. During Rosh Hashanah dinner, I realized I was sitting at the head of the table in Pop-Up's seat. As I sat in his chair, I could feel him watching over me, and now at my age, I feel as important as he would always make me feel. Right now, I feel like there's this hole in my chest, and Rabbi had told us yesterday we must fill this hole we are all feeling with memories, which really helps me. So recently, when I was venting on the phone to him about 2020, he said to me, "Alex, you have to be optimistic. Enjoy life while you can." I've been thinking, what would Len do since I was little, since I could talk? Whether it was in school, watching the Eagles, the kitchen, on the stage, or on the green. Golf green. Wasn't his best. I wanted to be as well-rounded, methodical, and detailed he was. He planned everything out. He made every minute count, enjoyed every sip of his coffee, each stroke of his paintbrush. He milked every comedic line with perfect timing, and most importantly, in helping me with history. While there is a limit on the amount of people that could physically be present, I know that this synagogue would have been full otherwise, though we feel the presence of all those that love Len. He knew how to make everyone smile, even if it took them a minute to process his sarcasm. He had the ability to come up with a clever comeback for almost any conversation, something that he definitely passed on to the Goldman family. For the past 21 years, I strive to have even a fraction of his sense of humor, intelligence, work ethic, passion for everything he did, big or small. Pop-Up was truly one of a kind. Although I may not be the first brain surgeon, astronaut, ballerina, movie star that he would joke I was going to be, I will be a person who carries his encouragement, strength, and faith in me every second of every day.
The unordinary feeling I felt the other night with every Goldman member gathered, but without him there. Words can't really describe the feeling, but the dinner table and house just kind of seemed incomplete. That night was quiet, but that was the way Pop-Up always wanted it. Honestly, it's really ironic how Pop-Up wished for calmness and silence in most situations, but if you were talking to him, he'd ask you to talk louder because he couldn't hear you. While sitting in my dad's office on September 16th, I was on a tutoring call for my math class. A test was coming up the next day, and I really hadn't finished learning the material because I received a text about the news in the last 30 minutes of the call. During that time, I tried my best to deny the reality of the fact, but it was too hard to pay attention. Little did I know that Jeremy's and my recent dinner, in which we did every Sunday night with Bubby and Pop-Pop, would be the last time I'll see him. Yet the following day, after hardly retaining any information in the lesson, I earned a 100% on the test. In that moment, I felt Pop-Pop's presence guiding me. That was the number one thing he really cared about. Yes, there was always time for talks about sports and our social lives, but the very first thing he asked me about was how I was doing in school, and I will cherish that memory of him continuously motivating me, along with his quick wit, which I think everyone who knew him especially admired, his love for family, traveling, painting, and as we know, the Eagles. Another quality I will never forget was his ability to influence people very personally. Every time we went out, each waiter, member at his clubhouse, anyone knew his name and said it with a big smile. Sometimes those people even said to me, you're a really lucky grandson. He truly touched everyone's heart, including everyone's in the family. Bubby, I love you so much, and I want you to know that I'm here for you during this difficult time, and equally for Uncle Mike and Uncle Jeff. I love you, and I'm always here. Dad, I don't think I ever got the chance to thank you for being such a hero. I know how much dedication you brought for Pop-Pop, so thank you, and I love you. We must keep in mind that the Jewish New Year has begun, bringing fresh chapters filled with happiness. Lishna Tova.
Just a word, a last word for me about Len and my experience with him, just briefly. Most of the time when you meet someone that's sarcastic and witty, a lot of people do it because they're uncomfortable with themselves and their personality, but not Len Goldman. He was an extraordinary man based on what everyone said, and also the fact that he could be smart and witty and funny and mischievous and tease you till you couldn't take it anymore. And yet, the other side of Len Goldman was a deeply sensitive, compassionate, passionate man who wrote poetry and who liked to perform and who loved music. And that is such a unique characteristic to find in a person, to be so outwardly connected and yet so internally full. He didn't abide by any gender requirements of being a man's man in the sense. To write poetry and be sensitive and to be a deeply sensitive, kind, compassionate man was what Leonard Goldman was. We're here today at this time together to just affirm for a second that Leonard Goldman, in a sense, does escape death. Not in the physical sense, because certainly his body had limitations. Len has not died because his impact on his family, on us and others is so great for all of us that loved him. Such a man never dies because his presence is still so very real to those who loved him. Such a man never dies because he so affected and changed the living and the world in significant ways. A man who touched us so much has left a bit of his soul in all of us. Khalil Gibran wrote, "When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight." Marilyn, you and Len were a match made in heaven. You were soulmates in every sense of the word. How poignant that your relation began at a summer camp. Your life was like one big, long summer camp experience. Activities, travel, adventure, and yes, overnights too. How blissful and happy he was in life with you. And as we watched and as you have nurtured each other in love and taken care of each other, you are an inspiration. Your relationship to Len is an inspiration to all of us. We were blessed because the two of you were together as husband and wife. The tapestry of your marriage is woven around a wonderful family and a partnership in love that does not die with the body. Take this tapestry and wrap yourself in it, Marilyn, and be comforted as a treasure trove of memories to hold on to. We don't know what you feel inside, but know that we're here for you to grieve in whatever way you care to. May those here today bring you a sense of comfort and be reminded of Len each and every day. In the Zohar, the Jewish mystical text teaches that a son is to honor his father while he was alive. And the rabbis asked, if that's so, should a son stop honoring his father when the father dies? The tradition says no. It says if that son walks in the proper path and improves his good deeds, this is the best way to honor a father. And God even counts it to the credit of the father in the world beyond. Jeffrey, Michael, and David, I know you feel an emptiness in your hearts and souls left by the death of your dad. Fill that space with a determination to be great people and do great things like your dad did. Be kind and considerate and loving as your dad was. Laugh at yourself and laugh at the world as your dad did. Don't forget to enjoy life fully, to be playful like he was, to do things in the most important way you can. Remember your dad and honor your dad's life by making your life a life of meaning too. That part of him that is in each of you can never be erased because it is a part of who you are, and it is a part that will continue throughout your life. To Joshua and Jordan, Jeremy, Zachary, Noah, Andrew, and Alex, I hope you will continue to hear your pop-pop cheering you on in all the amazing things that you're going to do in your lives. Have good relationships with people like he did. Find someone in your life to love like he did with your bubby. Make a difference in the world like he did. Find your own way to do something that's special and important, and this is the way that you will honor your pop-pop. To Wilma, Len's sister, I hope that she will keep all the great memories that she and Len created growing up early close to her heart. Our hope and prayer is that brings her comfort. And I'll end with this, from one Phillies fan to another, because I grew up in Philadelphia, and I'm a Philly boy. And when I met Len Goldman, I immediately know within 1 second that he was from Philly, by his accent, by his character, by his personality. I end with the lyrics. Harold Callis, head announcer for the Phillies from 1971 till 2009. Harold Callis was known by every Phillies fan who ever went to Veterans Stadium and the other stadiums as well. It was made famous, this song that he sang every Phillies game. You would wait for Harold Callis to do this. And this is the song that he sang. Next time you're found with your chin on the ground, there's a lot to be learned, so look around. Just what makes that little old ant think he'll move the rubber plant? Anyone knows an ant can't move a rubber plant. But he's got high hopes, he's got high hopes, he's got apple pie high hopes, in the sky hopes. So anytime you're getting low, instead of letting go, just remember that ant. Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant. Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant. Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant. I'm not going to sing it. When troubles call and your back's to the wall, there's a lot to be learned that wall could fall. Zichrona Livracha, may the memory of Len Goldman be a special treasure and a blessing to all of us, as we don't offer you this song, but we offer this family of Mishe Berak a prayer for healing and wholeness in your hearts and in your spirits. For those of you who are here too, this special Debbie Friedman version of the Mishe Berak, the prayer that Len listened to so many times in synagogue, and he sung along with it as well, this prayer for him and for you as a family for a sense of healing.
Beirach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source Mikor habracha Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We'll ask you please to remain seated all until the ushers will dismiss you from the sanctuary. We will continue our service at the cemetery. We invite the family now to please stand, and we invite those who will be escorting the casket to please join Sammy as we escort Len to his final resting place.